Hello there, my dear friends. I'm so glad you've joined me today. It's always a comfort to sit down, have a friendly chat, and share a few thoughts about the ups and downs of our later years. I know that at our age, over 75, we've seen a lot, learned a lot, and sometimes even discovered that things we believed were good for us might not be quite so perfect after all. Today, I want to share a story that might surprise you. One that I never expected when I was first told about it. It turns out that one of those healthy foods we've been enjoying for years might be doing more harm than we realize if we're not careful. And believe me, I was as shocked as you might be. Before we start, welcome to Old Age Support. This is a place for us seniors to chat about life, health, and staying happy as we age. No fancy talk, just real, honest conversations. If that sounds good to you, go ahead and subscribe so we can navigate this journey together. Now, before you start shaking your head in disbelief, let me explain. I'm not a doctor, and I don't intend to scare anyone off from eating something you love. Rather, I want to offer a perspective, a friendly nudge, to help us think about the little changes our bodies go through as we age. You see, back in the day, when we were younger and our bodies worked a bit like they always had, certain foods could work miracles for our health. But as we gracefully age, our metabolism slows down. Our kidneys might not be as efficient, and even the foods that once powered us up can sometimes have unexpected side effects. Take spinach, for example. I know. Spinach was the superstar on our dinner tables, the food that gave Popeye his strength. We all grew up hearing about its benefits, and it was always a staple in our salads and smoothies. But as I started reading up on things and talking with some folks who've been in the same boat as I have, I discovered that spinach is also high in something called oxalates. Now, I'm no scientist, but apparently these oxalates can combine with calcium in our bodies to form kidney stones. A pesky little problem that none of us need more of, especially when our kidneys aren't quite as robust as they used to be. I remember a time not too long ago when I'd have a big bowl of spinach salad almost every day. I thought I was doing something wonderful for my heart and overall health. But then I started experiencing a few uncomfortable episodes, aches and pains that I couldn't quite explain. It wasn't until a dear friend of mine, who's a nurse, mentioned that my diet might be playing a part in these issues that I began to wonder. It turns out that as we age, our bodies become more sensitive. And even those foods we once considered our best friends can sometimes work against us. I remember a time not too long ago when I'd have a big bowl of spinach salad almost every day. I thought I was doing something wonderful for my heart and overall health. But then I started experiencing a few uncomfortable episodes, aches and pains that I couldn't quite explain. It wasn't until a dear friend of mine, who's a nurse, mentioned that my diet might be playing a part in these issues that I began to wonder. It turns out that as we age, our bodies become more sensitive. And even those foods we once considered our best friends can sometimes work against us. I have to admit, I chuckled to myself when I first heard about this. Here we are, thinking that we're being wise by loading up on what's marketed as a miracle vegetable, only to learn that our trusted friend might actually be playing tricks on us. It's a bit like finding out that your favorite pair of comfortable shoes has a little defect that might be causing you some trouble without you even knowing it. It makes you wonder what else we might be taking for granted, doesn't it? One of the things I've come to appreciate as I've gotten older is the importance of listening to our bodies. When we were younger, we might have shrugged off those little aches and assumed they were just part of life. But now, we know better. We understand that our bodies are delicate, that every bite we take can have a profound impact on how we feel. And while I'm not here to scare anyone away from enjoying a good, healthy meal, I do think it's worth paying attention to the signals our bodies give us. For instance, if you've noticed that you're having more frequent trips to the doctor for kidney-related issues, or if you've experienced discomfort after meals that used to be perfectly fine, it might be time to take a closer look at your diet. Perhaps that spinach salad you used to enjoy might be contributing to those problems, and if that's the case, you're certainly not alone. Many of us have found that the foods we once believed to be our best allies might need a little adjustment in our golden years. I'm reminded of a conversation I had with a friend at our weekly bridge club meeting. We were chatting about the latest health trends, and before I knew it, the topic of superfoods came up. My friend, who's always had a keen eye for detail, mentioned that she'd read something surprising about spinach, that its high oxalate content could, in some cases, lead to kidney stones. At first, I laughed it off. After all, spinach had always been a symbol of strength and vitality in my mind. But as we talked more, I began to wonder, could it be that our bodies, with all their wisdom and years of experience, are telling us something important about moderation and balance? It's not just about spinach either. Our bodies change in so many ways as we grow older, and what was once considered a boon can sometimes become a burden. We all know that our metabolism isn't what it used to be. Our digestive systems might not process food as quickly, and the way our bodies handle nutrients can shift dramatically. It's a reminder that we need to pay attention to the little details, whether that's the types of foods we eat, the amount of water we drink, or even the time we spend resting between meals. I've also learned that sometimes it's okay to question what we've always believed. For decades, we were told that eating plenty of leafy greens was the key to good health. And for many years, that advice served us well. But now, with the benefit of hindsight and the wisdom that comes with age, we might need to re-examine those recommendations in light of our changing bodies. It's a bit like realizing that the old ways of doing things might need a little tweaking now that we're in a different stage of life. Now I'm sure some of you might be thinking, but I love my spinach. It's been a part of my life for so long. And believe me, I understand that sentiment completely. I too have fond memories of those crisp green leaves and the simple pleasure of a fresh salad. But it's important to remember that nothing in life is black and white. There's always room for adjustment, for a little bit of experimentation to see what works best for us now. One idea that has been suggested by some of my more adventurous friends is to try cooking the spinach instead of eating it raw. Cooking can sometimes reduce the oxalate levels just enough to make a difference. I've been experimenting with lightly steamed spinach, mixing it up with other vegetables, and I must say, it still tastes delightful while perhaps being a bit gentler on my system. It's all about finding that sweet spot where you can still enjoy the foods you love without putting undue strain on your body. Another piece of advice that's worth considering is variety. We've spent years eating the same meals, following the same routines, and sometimes it's easy to fall into a pattern without realizing it. But our bodies are wonderfully adaptable, and a bit of variety can go a long way. Instead of having spinach every day, why not mix in a colorful array of greens? Perhaps a bit of arugula here, a handful of kale there, or even some mixed salad greens that offer a range of nutrients without overloading on any one particular substance. I found that this not only makes my meals more interesting, but also helps me feel better overall. Of course, none of this is to say that we should abandon the healthy habits we've cultivated over the years. Our routines, our diets, and our lifestyles are part of what has brought us to this point in our lives. But as we all know, life is full of surprises, and sometimes the best way to honor our past is to adapt to the needs of our present. That means being open to change, even if it means rethinking something as seemingly harmless as our favorite salad green. I want to encourage you all to share your thoughts and experiences on this matter. Have you ever noticed any changes in your health that might be linked to your diet? Do you have any fond memories, or maybe even a funny story about a meal that didn't quite agree with you? I'd love to hear about them. We're all in this together, and sometimes a shared experience can be the best remedy for a confusing situation. In our modern world, it seems like there's always some new piece of advice about what we should or shouldn't eat. One day, it's all about cutting out sugar, and the next it's about avoiding certain fats. It can be overwhelming, especially when you've spent a lifetime trusting the advice of experts and family traditions. But remember, dear friends, that our lives are a tapestry of experiences, and every thread, every meal, every bite contributes to the bigger picture of our health and happiness. I recall a time when I was invited to a community luncheon at our local senior center. The chef had prepared what was advertised as a super healthy menu, complete with salads, whole grains, and a variety of fresh vegetables. I was excited to try it all, thinking that this was exactly what I needed to keep me feeling young and vibrant. But as the day went on, I started feeling a bit off. My stomach wasn't settling the way it usually did, and I couldn't shake a nagging sense of discomfort. Later, I learned that one of the key ingredients in the meals was, you guessed it, spinach. It's funny how life works sometimes. We spend so many years following a set of rules and habits that feel natural and true, only to discover that those same habits might need a little adjustment later on. I like to think of it as an opportunity to learn and grow, even in our later years. After all, if we can adapt to new technologies, new social norms, and new ideas, surely we can also adapt the way we eat to suit our changing needs. So what can we do about it? Well, first and foremost, I encourage you to pay attention to your body. If you've been a fan of spinach and it's served you well for many years, there's no need to panic. Instead, consider whether you might benefit from a bit of moderation or a slight change in how you prepare your meals. Perhaps try mixing in other greens, or even cooking your spinach rather than eating it raw. Sometimes a small tweak can make a world of difference. It might also be helpful to talk to your doctor or a nutritionist who understands the unique challenges we face as we age. They can provide personalized advice, taking into account any health conditions or medications you might be dealing with. I know that sometimes we feel like the medical world speaks a different language from us, but don't hesitate to ask questions. A little knowledge can go a long way in helping us maintain our health and well-being. And let's not forget the importance of staying connected with one another. In a world that sometimes seems to treat seniors as if we're no longer relevant, it's vital that we continue to share our experiences and support each other. Whether it's through a friendly conversation over a cup of tea or a lively chat at our community center, every interaction is a chance to learn and to help someone else along the way. I'd love for you to comment below and share any tips or experiences you've had with your diet over the years. Have you found a healthier alternative to spinach that works well for you? Or maybe you have a story about how a small change in your eating habits made a big difference in your day-to-day life. Now, I know that all of this might sound a bit overwhelming at first. After all, changing something that has been a part of our lives for so long is never easy. But remember, it's not about completely overhauling everything overnight. It's about taking small, manageable steps, listening to our bodies, making gentle adjustments, and embracing the idea that it's perfectly okay to change our ways when the time comes. I often think about how society sometimes underestimates us simply because of our age. We're not the ones running marathons or chasing the latest fitness fads, but we have a lifetime of wisdom that can teach so much about moderation, balance, and the real meaning of health. Our bodies may not be as quick as they once were, but they've carried us through decades of experiences, joys, and challenges. And even if a food like spinach, once celebrated for its health benefits, now poses a small risk for some of us, it's a reminder that our health is a delicate balance, one that requires us to adjust and learn as we go. In closing, my dear friends, I want you to remember that it's never too late to re-examine the things we take for granted. Whether it's rethinking our favorite salad green or simply taking a moment to listen to what our bodies are telling us, every little step counts. We've all had our share of ups and downs, and every day brings a new opportunity to learn, adapt, and grow. I encourage you to share your thoughts and experiences on this topic. Let's start a conversation about how we can all make small changes to live a bit more comfortably and happily in our later years. Thank you for spending this time with me. I hope that what I've shared today gives you a little food for thought, pun absolutely intended. If you found this discussion helpful, please consider sharing it with a friend, or leaving a comment below with your own stories or tips. And if you'd like to see more conversations like this, maybe even subscribe to stay in touch, I'd be delighted. After all, we're all in this together, learning how to navigate the beautiful, sometimes complicated journey of aging. Stay safe, be kind to yourselves, and remember that every day is a chance to make a positive change, even when it comes to the simplest choices at the dinner table. Take care, and until next time, let's keep the conversation going. One healthy step at a time.